I want to dispel some of the conversation that goes all around us on the internet, in the ways that you view the world, and everybody's got their view of what spirituality is, what religion is, what quantum physics is, and all of those different conversations. And so I wanted to drill it down to one word, which encompasses everything, which is consciousness. I start by the premise that you are creating your reality. In other words, what you see with your eyes, you're actually creating with your state, which is your state of consciousness. So we all have heard maybe of states of consciousness, but what exactly is that? So, to give a quick way for you to experience it, imagine that you just received this giant check in the mail and your whole body is flooded with these feel-good hormones. That's a state of consciousness. And so you can actually take an outside experience and create a state of consciousness, or you can just create the state of consciousness from within yourself. Let's say that all of a sudden there's a knock at your door and you walk outside and there's policemen standing on your front porch and they're delivering some really sad news. That state of consciousness that you have just went down. There's all kinds of different states of consciousness. There is consciousness about victimhood. There's a consciousness that my identity means that I can't get along and succeed in life. There's consciousness that says that I'm not good enough. There's consciousness that says I am the best thing since sliced bread. The thing about it is that I want to talk about how you get to an altered state of consciousness other than the one that you're in. I actually was watching the show Billions the other day, and there's a woman on there by the name of Wendy, one of the characters, and she's a performance coach, but she's also a therapist. And so what she did, and this reminded me of Tony Robbins, she was talking to the CEO of this company. He's rattling on about something, and she just goes like, "Fuck that!" And it was loud, and I can't even clap my hands that loudly. But what it is, it's a pattern interrupt. It's a state of consciousness interruption. And so what ends up happening is if you can do that for yourself, you can then create an altered state of consciousness. Because if you're going down the rabbit hole or the treadmill of, oh, nobody likes me, oh, I'm always going to be poor, oh, and fill in the blank. And if you begin to pay attention and become aware, you understand what they are. We talk about you can get to an altered state of consciousness through meditation, through breath work, through a near-death experience. You can get there through astral travel. You can do it through plant medicine. Some people say you can do it through remote viewing. Some people say it's about tapping into your angels and your guides, or tapping into your intuition. What's interesting to note is that all of these things are creating the same outcome, which is a different state of consciousness that creates a different outcome called your reality. Because if you stay in the same state of consciousness, regardless of whether or not you're doing affirmations and you keep saying the same thing over and over, you're unconscious, and that's what your state of consciousness is feeding off of, is I'm a victim, I'm poor, rich people are greedy, nobody should be rich, I can't have a relationship, I'm great at relationships. All of these ideas, they create this state of consciousness within you that permeates every cell and fiber of your being. So if you want to begin to understand how to create a new reality for yourself, you have to change your state of consciousness. Sounds simple, not so easy to do. And when we talk about meditation or NDEs or astral travel or going to the Akashic records, or maybe you have had experiences where you speak to dead people, or you have angels and guides that you see, or you see the same number day in and day out and you know automatically that that's a sign, but that there's this connection to the place that we can't see. That's our consciousness. That is what is creating our reality. So how do we shift or go to an altered state of consciousness to begin to create what it is that we say we desire. Because the universal language is not about words. The universe doesn't care what you want. The universe doesn't care what you think. It doesn't care what you say. It cares about what the conscious state is of your beingness. So when we begin to look at all of these things and then put them in conjunction with what I like to say, Earth School, because we're all in this school together. We're all learning something. We came here, and whether you call it Earth School, Soul Contract, the bus stop conversation, I talk about all of those things. And really, what I've really just come to understand after listening to a lot of podcasters and YouTubers, etc., I find it interesting and fascinating to hear how so many different people are viewing the different lens for everybody's view. I have a tendency to look from this 10,000 foot view, or from the galaxy's view. It all comes down to one thing: your state of consciousness. And until you change the state of consciousness that you have been producing the results, the reality that you're living in, you will continue to see the same thing. They say the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. We will never get a different result unless we change this. It isn't about the mindset. It isn't about the thinking, although those things interact together. It's about this consciousness. It's about this state of consciousness, which is the whole beingness. I really like breath work, because breath work brings you entered into the center of your being, that will take you into a deep meditative state, which can allow you to astral travel, or you can try plant medicine. I've done all of them, but I really like using breath work to get you to begin that journey. Ultimately, what you want to do is get into what we call an alpha or a theta state, and I'll talk about that on a different video. But here's what happens once you are in whatever state of consciousness you're in. Earth School, we're on Earth School, we then begin to emit frequencies. Our state of consciousness emits a frequency. So everybody's got a money frequency. So many people, I have yet to meet one person that doesn't have some sort of victim mentality, consciousness frequency. And until you change that frequency from victim to receiver and knowing that you are the chosen one, you will continue to see the outpicturing of whatever that is. The ultimate energy on this planet, this Earth School, is love. Because if you stay in this love frequency, if you're in the unconditional love frequency, it's very difficult to have money frequency issues, relationship frequency issues, victim mentality issues. So it's really important to begin to know that love is going to be the thing that you want to focus on when you're in this meditative state, when you're in breath work, when you're shifting your state of consciousness. The other thing is, the opposite of love is judgment. So you can begin today by just becoming aware of how many ways you're judging yourself, your environment, your friends, your family, your coworkers, the world, because judgment is absolute death to the ultimate frequency that will bring you all of the good that you ever believed or thought you desired. And the other component besides judgment is separation. Because if you begin to unwind that you are not separate from the whole, you will begin to see that everything is just a reflection, a mirror of you. Now, that's a really hard thing for a lot of people to accept, because you say, well, I see so-and-so, or I see the world, or I see a political figure, I see a celebrity, and you judge what you see. When the reality is, there's some small part of you that you just haven't embraced yet, that sees that in someone else, but now it's magnified. So one thing you can begin to do today besides breath work is to take this separation and know that it's just you judging something outside of you, which is already part of you, because you're already one with everything. So when you judge something outside of you, you automatically separate yourself from the one. You are not separate. It's just a construct that you have created. So if you want to know a little bit more about how this all works together in your consciousness and more about NDEs and astral travel and all the good stuff, follow this channel. But more importantly, just begin to know that there isn't one pathway to consciousness. You are the pathway. You are the consciousness. You are the creator. And so everything that you're creating right now in this realm can be recreated at any moment like that. That's what we call free will. Our free will is to change our state of consciousness in any moment at any time. Stay tuned for more.